Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Ashland Leather Workshop. I thought I'd try something a little different today. I thought it'd be cool to show you some stuff in real time here. I haven't done one of these live ones in a while, so I thought it'd be kind of fun to try it out again. But also, if you ordered something, maybe you've got your wallet here that you get a little sneak preview of. All right, let's get into some of the stuff we're sending out. And this is a really cool teal Latigo Giant of the Fox. And I'm actually surprised how well it's showing up on the camera here, because this is not a great camera, and you can tell it's terrible lighting. But this is a really neat Giant of the Fox for Karen, K-A-R-A-N. So Karen, if you're checking this out, I'm really excited for you to have this. And I really like how the Latigos wear in, because there's so much vegetable tanning that goes into the Latigo. These age incredibly, and the more you wear it, the better it gets. And this teal color gets significantly darker and starts to look more like denim, which I think is really cool. I don't know how to read this name because it's in Japanese, but this is a whiskey shell Bugs Moran for a good friend of ours in Japan. And again, I don't know how to read Japanese, but this is for them. I'm really excited for them to have this one too, because the whiskey shell cordovan is just awesome, and it has a really great ink stamp on the middle there. Here's something cool, and I think this gentleman watches these videos. So this one is for Go. And Go, I have your Apple Watch band here. You asked for an Epic Draw natural shell watch band, and I'm really happy with how your watch band turned out. These are really, really great. I wear an Apple Watch band. This one happens to be a black reverse, which is just wearing in incredibly. Let me give you a better look at that. Check out how the color has changed on this. If I can show it, but it's darkened a significant amount. Sure is hard to show. And I like, and a lot of people point out to me how much they like the color depth that's happened on here. But what I really like is the luster. Look how, just even in this terrible lighting, you can start to see that little bit of sheen come off the shell. And I haven't done anything to this. I haven't polished it. I haven't put any product on it. I've sweat a whole lot on this Apple Watch band, and it's just wearing in really well. I work out with this on my wrist. I think it's great, super comfortable. So here we've got one for Hawk in Hong Kong. So hopefully Hong Kong's actually getting deliveries right now. But this is a really neat Bugs Moran in intense blue shell cordovan, which I'm sure won't show up well on this camera. But again, we've got a really great Corwin ink stamp for Hawk. Really excited for you to have this one. Hopefully you check this out before this gets to you. By the way, I'm going to show you most of the stuff that we're sending out today, but I've got a couple things on the table over there that are back in stock. So if you're checking this out, you might be interested to hang out and see at the end here what I've got going on there, because they're pretty cool. Here we got another one for Jared. This was a special order for Jared. Two-piece watch strap in intense blue shell. This one's 20 millimeters. And again, I really like the unlined straps because of how comfortable they are. I think when you don't have stitching touching your wrists, it makes for a really comfortable strap. And the way that the shell molds and ages around your wrist is really special. Just like any vegetable tan leather, like the Dublin who said that? That Freak Gaming said he's got a watch strap of. All the veg tan stuff just wears really, really well. So this is a really cool intense blue shell strap for Jared. So this is a color number 4 Apple Watch band for Yan'an. And check that out. I really like the color 4. And I'm assuming most of you that would hang out for a live show here have seen me rave about the color 4 and rave about the Amaretto probably too much. But I'm a big fan of the color 4. Check out how sweet that shell is. It's really nice. And I don't know if I've mentioned this too much before, but if you look closely on the buckle there, there's a brand that is not our brand. We actually, years ago when we first started making Apple Watch bands, we partnered with a company called Nomad, and I have no idea if it will focus on that. Whatever. We partnered with Nomad. And Nomad makes pretty cool sort of tech accessory stuff. I've got a lot of Apple Lightning cables from them that I really like. They have some wireless chargers that I really like. But we partnered with them to make these watch bands. So this is a really cool Apple Watch band, Color 4 shell for our friend in Boston. Now here's a name I recognize. This is a valet tray for Ian. And this one is in black chrome excel. So actually, if you look at I'm going to try not to show people's addresses and stuff, but if you look at our table here, we've got a couple valet trays that we use to hold all of our little tools and stuff. We put beeswax in there, thread cutters, lighters, bevel tools. So we use these valet trays all over the place. I use them at home just to keep stuff all together. But this one is for Ian, and I recognize Ian's name. So I can't wait for you to have this, Ian. Thank you so much for your continued support. Somebody just asked for gator print, and Matt brought this over. So we're working right now on a really cool gator print shell cordovan Johnny the Fox. And there you go. There's the magic. So expect to see these. We're probably about like 4 or 5 weeks behind in production right now for new stuff. So I would look out for this one in about a month or two. But this is pretty cool. This is color 8 with a gator embossed on it, which I really like. I actually really like the Horween does a floral print that I think is really cool that I'd like to do more of. But these are going to be really great. I'm putting these with a reverse interior that I think is going to look awesome. Like treason, well, look who it is. The man who makes it difficult for me to choose my next wallet color. Yeah, that's me. And that's actually it's funny that you say that because that's been a struggle between me and Dan. But I've always had this concept like when there's too many options, it's really hard to choose. And that's sort of like a strength and a weakness of us at Ashland is we just have like so much good stuff. And the analogy I always think of is there's a burger store here in Chicago that's pretty popular called Kuma's Corner. And they just have a massive menu of like 30 different burgers. And I've been there a lot, so I know what I like. But every time I go, I just stare at the menu. And it's so hard for me to pick. And I've been debating with Dan about limiting our like standard offerings to more specific colors. And then every once in a while, we'll do special events on special offerings, kind of like this alligator color 8. The other thing that's cool, and we're planning to do this soon, you're hearing it here first, is we want to do another mystery box because I really like doing that. I like surprising people. And people have commented multiple times how they like the mystery box because it helps them take the choice out of their hands. And most of the stuff we put in there, people absolutely love. So it's kind of a good way to just get something that maybe you weren't thinking of getting, sort of letting me force my opinion onto you. Jesse Anderson says, howdy, how do you feel about a Bugs Moran variant with vertical slots? Matt had brought that up to me. I think we've made one of those, or a couple of those. Do you have one, Matt? Yeah. Who asked for this? Jesse. Boom. So this is a Bugs Moran that we had a prototype made of, so the leather's kind of poopy. But we had some other people that had asked about a Bugs Moran with this layout. And what's cool about this is you still get that sort of hidden slot underneath there. We have 2 stacked cards on the top. So this is something I could probably do for you. How do I decide to name my wallets? Somebody had left a comment with that question a couple days ago, and I answered that. When I first started making the wallets, I was working with my buddy he was working in PR at the time. I was asking him what he thought, and he lived in New York at the time. So I told him I was trying to come up with fun names for wallets, and he said, well, why don't you pick something that's Chicago-centric? And we did that. Then I asked him, I said, what did when you think of Chicago, he had never lived here, what's the first thing that you start to think of? And he said that he thinks of Chicago gangsters. So I went down this rabbit hole of Chicago mobsters and looking at all their names, and I thought they were really fun. So the first one was Fat Herbie, which is just kind of like a good name for the wallet that I've been carrying for the last 10 years or so. But then all these other gangster names are really cool. Like it'd be Blank the Blank. And I thought those, just the way that they would give themselves nicknames was really great. So like Frank the Enforcer and Johnny the Fox, I thought it put like a personality to each of the wallets. and it ties back into Chicago. That's how we came up with the idea of naming them all gangsters. We wanted like a sort of masculine, like tough guy, rugged aesthetic that is very much about Chicago. And that's how the names came about. So now we've got all sorts of them. And you will notice that there is no, who's the main gangster? Al Capone. I don't have an Al Capone one because I thought that's like a little too on the nose. I didn't want to do like, this is the Al Capone. If I do Al Capone, I think it would be something really simple and like kind of boring, just because I think it'd be ironic and fun. But just haven't done it. I think it's I think it's like a little too much. And the other thing is these are real people. So I had I don't have any on the table here, but the Louis Little New York is a real, like, these are all real people. So Louis Little New York Campagna, his nephew sent me an email, and it was a very point blank, in your face email. He just said, it was like subject wallet, and the body was, thank you for honoring my uncle. And it said like Philip Campagna. And I was a little freaked out because you kind of forget after you make so many of these wallets and you keep saying Louis Little New York 1,000 times. You forget that these are real individuals. And I was a little freaked out. And I said, really glad to honor your uncle. I think it's just cool stories, and let me send you a wallet. And he was, again, very like short with his emails. And then all he said in response was, sure, send it to this address. And then he said, by the way, my uncle died catching a fish. It was a grouper. And I just thought that was the funniest story. But it's cool to remember that all these wallets are named after real people. So there is a level of respect that I have. This is not like trying to disrespect any people. It's just a fun way to sort of tie in Chicago with everything else. And you'll notice too, like, I've got some key holders here. And by the way, this one's super sweet. Like all the accessories, everything that's not a wallet does not get a gangster name. So this one is the vault key holder, which I can tell you I got that. Here's a special something. Remember the tumbled verdigris? This is a key holder out of that tumbled verdigris, which I think it's the first time I'm showing anybody this. But this is really cool. And it's too bad the camera's not great on this. But we made this for a special person, good supporter of us. I had a little bit of extra leather for his key case here. But this one was named after the Lexington Hotel. So this Lexington Hotel key case. But that hotel in Chicago was the site where Geraldo Rivera back in the 90s had this like big event at the hotel where he was going to unlock Al Capone's like hidden vault, and everybody's going to see all the crazy stuff that was inside. So he had this live thing on TV, and nothing was in the vault. So that's how I named this one. I just thought it was a cool tie-in to gangster stuff without putting like a name to it. And then I named the larger one, the vault key holder, after that vault in the hotel. So that's how I came up with those. Light Treason says, I think I'm going to go with an Amaretto Fat Herbie. Any suggestions for the interior? Yes, I suggest the reverse interiors, but I also like the regular Amaretto interiors. And the reason I like the reverse is when you wear it like this and it scuffs on the inside, this non-shell side is much more easily filled in with products like our Tanner's blend or even the Sapphire. Like here's some Sapphire we use every day. You can fill in those scratches much more easily on the reverse side as opposed to the shell side. But if you like to baby your wallet and you like I think it's a little cleaner of an aesthetic, I would get the Amaretto on the inside. So Matt just gave me his wallet. This is a natural Fat Herbie. I think I gave him this wallet before he started working here, for like 6 years ago. So this is a pretty old Fat Herbie. And actually, he's done a pretty nice job on the inside here where it's not really scratched up that much. Did you polish this?
Rarely.
You haven't really polished this.
About 8 years old.
This will give you an idea of what your Amaretto would look like on the inside. It's not so bad, but you can really see like where the raised letters and numbers of the cards are, and they push together and sort of go like this. That's where you start to get some of those scratches. I kind of embrace it because I like the idea that leather is supposed to be worn and sort of worn in. We guarantee them forever. So I try not to worry about like breaking the leather. I like to see how it wears in. How do I price my wallets? I'm trying to figure out. I only use Horween right now. Well, we kind of back into it. Like the leather itself is very expensive. It's about $100 a foot. And by the way, this is a Fat Herbie for David in California, which this is super awesome. This is an all reverse color 8. So for example, when I'm cutting this is a huge pattern piece. Like it's as big as my hand times 2. So that means I would need really, really large pieces of shell that tend to be more expensive. So if it's a larger pattern piece, it has to be more expensive. These are $300, and it's mostly leather costs. And then we add in price for labor and all that. That's not trivial either. It's just a lot of work. But you know, like we're in a workshop right now. It costs money to be here. It costs money to have the lights on. We have water and taxes and all that stuff. And we do free shipping. So it's like, it depends on all the other stuff you got going on. But I think, honestly, I think $300 is a really fair price for a shell wallet. And it's a lot of money. If I heard myself say those words 10 years ago, my jaw would hit the floor. But knowing what I know now about how much the leather is and how much effort it takes and time it takes to do all this stuff, I think it's a pretty good price. I would say, like Matt just put this incredible Tony in front of me. I would say that if you can't afford a shell wallet, we have so much other stuff that's just super nice as well. Like this English Tan Dublin. And I think these are like 85
On sale.
Yeah. So like there's options to be had, but the shell is just like another level. You need to charge, you know, a sustainable price. So if it's $40 an hour, you know, you're looking at $200 in labor. And free gaming, that's how we started. Dan and I was making a Fat Herbie in my living room, like on the couch. And I bought a hand sewing book and I would just sit there on the couch and like live out my obsession with the leather. And when we started making stuff, Dan's garage turned into our workshop. And eventually we took over most of his house and his wife got pissed. So we had to rent out some extra space. And now we have our own building that we've had for about 1.5 years now. Really like it here. We're finally settling in. Yeah, Stephanie, the shell pricing is super hard. I think you just have to price it what it's worth. And if people buy it, they buy it. And if they don't buy it. And that's what Nick Horween and I used to say together is, okay, it's too expensive, don't buy it. Like somebody else is going to buy it. It's not necessarily a thing where like the cost is a problem. It's the person doesn't appreciate it for what it needs to be worth. And that's just a disconnect, you know? Ruben says, how do I buff out the scratches? Great question, Ruben. Here's what we do. I've got the sapphire. I've got some cloths and a bunch of stuff over here. So what you want to do is take a little bit of this. I apply it with my finger. You can just grab a little bit of sapphire, wipe it on the shell. You can start with like a small amount and add more, but what you're trying to do is develop a light haze on the leather. And I just sort of wipe it in maybe with just a little cloth after you've applied it with your hand. Let it sit there for maybe 10 or 15 minutes. And what you can do after that is buff off the excess and then brush it. Or if you're real crazy, you can get a buffing wheel like that one there. You can get one of these. They're cheap. And you can see this one's black, that's color 8. And we just sort of buff in the wax after that. It can get a little dangerous because if you go too hard, you can start pulling off finish. Some more of the stuff I'm sending out. This one is Tanner's Blend for Michael in Pennsylvania. Thank you, Michael. If you need tips on how to use the Tanner's Blend, I can help you out with that. If you're watching this, I want to go over this again. Like this reverse color 8 Fat Herbie is so nice. And usually I don't see them this red. So who is this for again? This is for David in California. David, you're getting something really special. I hope you watch this, and I can't wait for you to have this wallet. It's really cool. A Frank the Enforcer in Intense Blue for Ryan. I don't know where Ryan lives, but Ryan made this as a special order because I think we were sold out of these. Here's a good friend of ours, Kevin. in California. Kevin picked up the irregular yesterday with those crazy stripes in the shell. If this was for me, I would pay full price. It's not an irregular, really. It's just not our normal thing. So this is a really cool Johnny the Fox that Kevin picked up. They look like valleys in there, but it's super smooth for Kevin. And Kevin also picked up an all reverse black fox. And people sometimes get confused because I say it's black reverse when it's like very obviously green. This one's a little dusty on the inside, but the black reverse, if you can see, is black on the inside and the wrong side of the black shells are green. That's very confusing, but the black dyes that Horween uses, if you take those and dilute it in water, the water starts to look green. And that's where this shade comes from. It's a really cool Johnny the Fox. This is a color 4 Fat Herbie. And the reason I wanted to show you this is see all that white stuff on the inside? Some people, you might think it looks like mold or something, but all that is the waxes of the shell starting to come back out. So if you, like, see how it's white? If you just lightly rub it, all that comes out. And that's actually something you want to see in the shells is that wax come back to the surface. That means it's been tanned properly and hot stuffed nicely with a really incredible amount of waxes and oils. Oh, here's a good one. Sebastian in Germany picked up this black shell Fat Herbie. Really cool that you're supporting us all the way from Germany. Seems like we're getting people from all over the world. Super cool. It's really awesome to meet everybody from around the world too. All right, let me show you some stuff that's new, or I guess back in stock. Check this out. Fat Herbie in natural shell is back in stock. And these are really, really nice. This was the wallet I was suggesting that most everybody get if you're into patina. Now I really like the raw shells, which I think we still have a couple raw shells left. But if you want it a little bit shinier to start with, we've got some natural shell Fat Herbies back in stock. This, if you're into marbled shell, and I did a video yesterday on the marbled shells, this is a black marbled shell, and these are super nice. But this is a $225 version. So you can get that horsehide interior, save $100. I kind of like the horsehide ones perhaps more, just because I think that the profile, like the thinness of it is better. And that's because these horsehide Latigo interiors are made from a really special thin horsehide just for us by Horween. The reason we had to do it in horsehide is because the horsehides are naturally thinner than the steer hides or cow hides. And we don't like to thin down leather because it's kind of like taking away the foundation of your house. You reduce all the strength in the leather because there's a fiber structure in the hide that sort of like builds on itself and grabs down. And once you get rid of this part, you have no strength up above to hold all the grain to the rest of that sort of segment of leather. This is a black shell Johnny the Fox, again with that horsehide. So these are more price aggressive compared to the 100% shell stuff. And I like the horsehide because it lays flatter. So they're a bit more thin than the all shell stuff, and they're $100 less. I forgot to talk about it. I tend to keep forgetting about this, the daily updates on this. I've never updated something every day, but this is pretty cool. So see how my denim is starting to wear off on the middle? I'm just getting more of the same. So it's more denim coming off in the middle. I've put a little bit of water on there when it's out to a dinner date with my wife. I accidentally like put some food on it or something, and I tried to wipe it off. So it just got a little water on there. You can see how it's changed, but it's also molding really well to everything I put in it. So I'm kind of into the Lancaster. If this gets really dark, it might be one of my favorite leathers, but it's yet to be seen how this is going to turn out. But everybody else, thank you all for coming and leaving some chat comments. Appreciate you guys. Just the amount of support that everybody's given us is just a really big deal. And even just being here really means a lot. So thank you guys. And I should be back again tomorrow. All right, take care.